Welcome back to Happy Homework. To start off, let's everybody, if you're chilling, if you're driving your car or whatever, that's different. I'm just listening, but if you're just chilling, take a big, deep breath with me. Roll your head around a little bit. And kind of just shake off everything so that you're just in a receptive, hanging out, relaxed place. There. That feels nice, right? I used to do that with when I taught kids, and it was so funny because all their like expressions like right out on their face usually, and the before and after difference was like huge because I would do like it was a different group of kids every day, so just seeing like the before, and then we kind of do that and it starts out begrudging, and then they're like okay, and then after they kind of look at you like, oh hey, what's up, like we're all here together in this moment. And then after seeing that enough times, I was like, why don't I do this all the time? I need to do this before everything. Just like relax, shake off, center, chill. That's it. That's what we're doing. Hi, how is everyone? How are we? What are we doing today? I'm hanging out with these plants. And I was in the middle of this yoga breathing type of thing, and I was like, oh man, I really got to talk about just this idea that I've had for a long time, this like concept, paradigm, like whatever you want to call it, that I just keep thinking about. And I was like, today's the day. We discuss it today. We talk about it today. It happens today. So today I present for your consideration, we're going to talk about the idea of toxicity. Specifically, eventually, the idea of like toxic spirituality. And I can already feel, filming for YouTube so crazy because like speaking in front of large groups of people, you can kind of pick up on like a vibe, or you can feel different, you can feel reactions, general reactions, like a wave, whatever. But like something about YouTube, you can literally feel people be like, and like freaking out, and it's like, just gotta keep everything here. I understand, because we're used to the word toxic being used to explain stuff like when you're watching like a Scooby-Doo cartoon, there's like toxic waste, or like you're growing up and you're not supposed to touch like certain cleaning stuff or chemicals or whatever because it's toxic. And I've been thinking a lot about, I remembered randomly the other day, I was thinking about it actually in the context of the phrase people like to use, the like toxic masculinity. And I feel like it's really gotten away from us to where people are using it to describe like inherently masculine things to be toxic. And I don't think that, for me, that's not the point. Like when you sit with it, that's not the point. Anyway, I remembered randomly the other day, I took an environmental science class in high school, and I remember feeling so like betrayed when we were learning about toxicity, because I'm thinking of toxicity like we just talked about, where it means that it's like the toxic poison, that's it. Toxic means it's bad. A little bit of toxic is, the whole thing's bad. Like that's what it is. And then at least biologically, which, I mean, we're human beings, like everything about us is biological. Biologically, toxicity is when something contains an amount of something else to where it becomes toxic, if that makes sense. The presence of something has increased to a level that makes it inherently toxic, if that makes sense. It's more speaking to an imbalance, where something has increased past what it can bear of anything. So the thing might not be inherently toxic, but the levels of it have increased to the point that it has now become toxic. Now I started to, because I'm used to talking to actual people, be like, does that make sense? Which you can't tell. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? Because that, to me at least, I mean, to some people, they might blow that off, dismiss it as like splitting hairs, who cares? But to me, that's a huge difference. I mean, we're talking about a large amount of middle ground of where something, like a certain amount of something, is healthy, not toxic. And then it's when it passes that amount of healthiness or health or being beneficial that makes it toxic. So that reframes every conversation that we're having about toxicity. That reframes the conversation we're having about toxic masculinity. Masculinity is not toxic. It's where you don't have a balance of feminine energy, or where the masculine energies of creation, passion, fire, all of that type of stuff pushes too far and becomes like control, destruction, like negative destruction, and not allowing room or space for that other side. And so I think that's a very important conversation to have. Let's see. Let me think of a couple other examples to explain. Oh, so for example, a good, to me, illustration of toxicity is having an awareness of your body, of what you put in your body, of your general health of your body is very healthy, right? You don't want to walk around completely unaware whatever's going on in your body, eating whatever, doing whatever, like to the extent that you're literally not paying attention. You want to pay attention to a degree, but when you go past that point of health, that saturation point of paying attention, to where you're counting every calorie, you're fixating on it every step of all throughout during the day, that's your total focus, that pushes what once was healthy, which we're still talking about the awareness of like what's going on in your body, that pushes what once was healthy into an unhealthy area of eating, of disordered eating, and where you don't have room in your life for anything else, to where you're not paying attention to anything else, or you're completely disregarding your emotional states, you're so fixated on your physical state, that pushes what once was healthy into a toxic area. And so that's something that I think is helpful to think about, very helpful to think about, and to see where we're applying, or seeing where we've taken things that are healthy, or things that socially we get patted on the back for, and we've taken those things and allowed them to increase to a toxic level, allowed them to get to a place where they're hurting other things or choking out other areas of our life. I started to say it again. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. To figure out a different thing to say in those spaces. But something else that I want to present for consideration that I think is very interesting, but is fascinating to me also, how triggering it can be for people, is the idea of toxic spirituality. So this spiritual journey that we're having, I believe the ultimate goal is peak human experience, is being able to enjoy, appreciate, and take in all the different parts of the human experience from a balanced and measured way, and allowing it to all be part of something and learning something. So peak joy, feeling all of the things, and not allowing it to move you from your center beyond a degree, if that makes sense. Because for me, that's the point. I firmly believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. But we're having a human experience. At least for me. That's what I want. I want to have the human experience. I don't want to meditate to the extent that you don't feel anything anymore. That you're so removed from it. We're not supposed to delve so far into metaphysical things that we become only the spirit and not just floating ether. And it feels more comfortable for a lot of us that are, especially people that sort of identify with that idea of like being a very old soul, where lots of things feel very familiar. I 150,000% have that part that like, there's always that little bit of me that's like, also, we could just like scooch away, like go to Greece and live in a cave, go not talk to anyone, go be a nun, go to a tower and do research for forever. There's always that part of the old soul that feels so much more comfortable in that hermit energy, because if you subscribe to the belief of like multiple lifetimes of like your soul coming in and out, in and out, in and out, which I do, that there have been so many times where like that was the move. That was 100% the move. It's like, look, if you're gonna do this, you do it quietly in your house. You go in the woods. Like, this is not for like social consumption. This is not for like anything like that. There's a huge part of us that feels so much more comfortable in that energy. That energy feels like a relief, like a stiff drink, like a Xanax, like just feels very comfortable. But in the same vein of those things, it feels comfortable in that numbing way. And I believe that we came this time around because this lifetime that we all signed up for, especially if you're an old soul that signed up for it, this is that like revolutionary Renaissance 1776 like revolution energy. But it's going to be that revolution that comes from us changing ourselves, changing within, and creating a different outside. And you can't skip to the creating a different outside, because we're not creating different outside in the physical first. We're learning how to create something that's lasting and changing and different from a place of intention. That's what we came here to do this time. And you have to, like, the type of revolution that will ripple out and affect generations and generations and create lasting fundamental change is that one that you have to change within. If you're changing without changing within, it's 100% temporary. And what we came here to do is change the entirety of the human experience, to enrich and change and make deeper and broader and more meaningful, bring back the meaning, bring back that ether, that everything into the totality of the human experience. That's what we came to do. And you're like, Miss Meryl, that sounds crazy. I don't think so. I think there's a little flickery light inside of your old soul little body that's going, oh hell yeah. Oh hell yeah, that's what I came here to do. 1,000% that's what I came here to do. That's what we're doing. That makes complete sense to me. And so from that vein, from that perspective, that idea of over spirituality, spiritual toxicity is very toxic. You don't want to float out there and not be having a human experience. You don't want to be doing too much of this and not enough of this. We're grounding that energy in this, and it's difficult and weird and hard, and for a lot of us just feels so slow. It just feels so slow. You're like, I've been doing this forever. I've been studying, learning, whatever. Right, but the studying and learning, the meditation, the mindfulness, learning about law of attraction, vibration, chakras, is not fixing you because you're broken. It's not making you do things a wildly different way because everything that you did before was stupid. It is bringing that into your 3D experience to create space for you to have decided intentional action, for you to decide what you want to do and not be trapped in a 3D loop of impulse. Like a Groundhog Day. If you do not incorporate that into this, you stay in an only, because again, you don't want to be all 3D either, because if you're all 3D, that's too much 3D, which again approaches a level of toxicity in and of itself. Everything is toxic in the wrong amount. Everything is toxic in the wrong amount. Everything is toxic in the wrong amount. Too much of anything is toxic. So you don't want to be trapped in a feedback loop like that. You know what it feels like. You've probably done enough, whatever you want to call it, shadow work, inner work, increasing in your awareness, expanding your awareness to where you've been able to exit some of those like feedback loops. You know what it feels like to reach a pivot point and be able to scoop. You can scoop too. You can reach your pivot point and you can just scoop it right out of there. Go a different direction. Because that doesn't feel good to us either. Because if you're an old soul, you feel that distinct. I believe every human person feels it, but a lot of people are so, because when you're in those feedback loops, when you're in those places of like wounding in pain, wounding in pain, wounding in pain, or like encountering a pivot point and choosing to numb instead of pivot, you're just going to encounter the pivot point again. And you can pick up your whole life and change everything. The faces, the places, the climate, everything might look a little bit like different, but you recognize that energy of like, you can feel in your body. Like if you're a type of person that has changed jobs a bunch of times and keeps encountering the same exact feeling. So obviously you could have even changed fields, and if you're running into an issue that's something that you need to be able to understand with a 5D perspective and shift, you'll get that feeling in your body, even with everything looking different. So it looks different. So on the 3D level, it's very different. But you get that feeling in your body of, oh my God, not this again. Oh my God, not this again. So that's the point of integrating these things together. And I say 5D, but it's like 5D and as high as you want to go. Like we can go up forever and ever and ever. But like that awareness of not what's right here to what's really going on, to the energy of what's going on, to something you can heal within you to stop the feedback loop, to pivot, to make a different choice. All of that stuff is supposed to give you space. That stuff, the meditation, the mindfulness, the being aware, you're not supposed to use it to escape. You can if you want to, whenever the fuck you want to, honestly. If you need a break, take a break. If you need to astral project to kind of claim back all the bits of yourself, do it. Absolutely. Do that briefly, but use that to enrich your 3D experience. You don't want to do it and excuse yourself because you're missing out. And you can if you want. But I think that that's where a lot of people get so frustrated. So like, I meditated, I did this cleanse, I did all of these things, and it doesn't feel better. I feel separate from things. I feel a little bit annoyed because all of this stuff feels like it's going so slowly. That's because they're supposed to come together, and we help figure out how to marry them together and how to let it be one experience and enrich your experience. Let's just take like a second together and have like a nice deep breath and let that just sort of like ripple through your body. Think about it and give yourself some space to decide what you want to do. To go do a fun thing, but maybe tap into the energy of that fun thing and be like, is this something that I want to do? Do something fun, do something silly, do something human, and have the best day ever. And be a human. Don't let yourself get so bogged down in that. This purity of intention and all of that stuff, you just also need to have a good time. Because having the best time, joy is the highest vibration. Have a good time. Have a bad time. Have all the times. It's not going to make everything go away. It's not supposed to make everything go away. But we'll give you space to be making your own decisions. Space to be going, is this what I feel like doing? And then space to clear out all of that old stuff so you're not fighting these same battles over and over, so you can have these peaks and valleys, like extreme peaks and valleys that feel as a human really, really good. You can have a shitty day and watch movies and eat junk food, and then you can have an amazing day and hike to the top of a mountain and feel just totally 100% in the presence of God. You want to do all of those things. Do all of the things. Do all of the things. I think it was, who was it? I think it's Rosalind Russell that has this quote, and she's like, flops are part of life's menu, and I've never been a girl to miss out on a course. Have it all. Have it all. Do it all. Be it all. Do all the things. Have all the things. Feel all the things. Enjoy the shit out of your human experience. And maybe play with that idea in the back of your head about that biological definition of toxicity, about what it can mean and maybe take it into consideration. Let it sit back there. Maybe it'll grow into something. Maybe you have some ways where you've just been pushing yourself too hard, or being too hard on yourself, or too easy on yourself, or just bring back that sense of balance. Balance, balance, balance. You know? I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.